Ladies and gentlemen, this is Lions Den with another news commentary. Donald Trump, your president, is going to send federal law enforcement officers, possibly the FBI, into every U.S. major cities across America. I'm going to go ahead and play this press conference, and I'm going to continue the rest of my commentary.
Portland and other cities that are experiencing violence. There was a report out this morning that you're considering sending 175 federal troops to these cities to help local law enforcement. Can you fill us in on that?
It depends on what your definition of troops is. We're sending law enforcement. Portland was totally out of control. The Democrats, the liberal Democrats running the place, had no idea what they were doing. They were ripping down for 51 days, ripping down that city, destroying the city, looting it. The level of corruption and what was going on there is incredible. And then the governor comes, oh, we don't need any help. How about Chicago? I read the numbers were many people killed over the weekend. We're looking at Chicago too. We're looking at New York. Look at what's going on. All run by Democrats, all run by very liberal Democrats, all run really by radical left. But we can't let this happen to the cities. New York was up 348%, the crime rate. So the governor has to do something about it. And if the governor's not going to do something about it, we'll do something about it. But what's happening in New York, a place I love New York, and look at what's going on over there. The woman who was shot because she said, could you please not light off firecrackers, and they turned around and shot her 8 times and she died? That's not our civilization. That's not about us. And then the police are afraid to do anything. I know New York very well. I know the police very well. New York's finest. And the fact is, they're restricted from doing anything. They can't do anything.
So what are you planning on doing?
Well, I'm going to do something that I can tell you. Because we're not going to let New York and Chicago and Philadelphia, Detroit and Baltimore and all of these, Oakland is a mess. We're not going to let this happen in our country. All run by liberal Democrats.
So more federal law enforcement to some of these
We're
cities?
going to have more federal law enforcement, that I can tell you. In Portland, they've done a fantastic job. They've been there 3 days, and they really have done a fantastic job in a very short period of time. No problem. They grab them, a lot of people in jail. They're leaders. These are anarchists. These are not protesters. People say protesters. These people are anarchists. These are people that hate our country. And we're not going to let it go forward. And I'll tell you what, the governor and the mayor and the senators out there, they're afraid of these people. That's the reason they don't want us to help them. They're afraid. I really believe they're actually maybe even physically afraid of these people. Because what they're doing is incredible. We didn't just go there. This wasn't like it started right away. We went there after 51 days. We said, we can't let that happen anymore. But these are anarchists. And the politicians out there, yes, they're weak, but they're afraid of these people. They're actually afraid of these people. And that's why they say, we don't want the federal government helping. How about Chicago? Would you say they need help after this weekend? Do you know the numbers? Did you hear the numbers? Many shot, many killed. I'm not talking about 1, 2, was it 18 people killed? I think more than that. And you added up over the summer. This is worse than Afghanistan, by far. This is worse than anything anyone's ever seen. All run by the same liberal Democrats. And you know what? If Biden got in, that would be true for the country. The whole country would go to hell. And we're not going to let it go to hell. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Let's go, guys. Come on, guys.
Thank you,
Hey, let's
Meredith.
go.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. I want to say this. If Trump's sending federal law enforcement officers, federal troops, or the FBI into every U.S. major cities, it's going to turn into martial law. I'm going to let you know right now, it's going to turn into martial law. It's bad enough that we're dealing with COVID-19. It's bad enough if we as black people are afraid to walk out because, and get stopped or get killed by police. It's bad enough that we dealing with this. But to send federal police officers or the FBI or even federal troops into U.S. major cities is going to get worse. We're going to be in martial law. And see, you notice when he's talking about Chicago, right? That, oh, Chicago got a higher crime rate. They got more murders. So many people get shot. And he failed to realize that black people didn't have anything to do with this. Gang members didn't have anything to do with the shootings in Chicago. But what they failed to realize, there's police corruption in Chicago. But yet, Trump don't care about that. What he's trying to do is trying to shut all the major cities down. Because they say they're running by Democrats. What about Republican states? They got violence too. Are you going to shut them down as well? See, this is a concern, especially especially ADOS and FBAs, the founders of Black Americans, or whatever you want to call yourself. This is a concern, ladies and gentlemen, because if Trump is going to do this, a lot of black people will be under siege even more, which means that it's going to be martial law. It's going to be they're going to take over our neighborhoods. They're going to take over our cities. I mean, and nobody will be safe. And then, especially with COVID-19 going on, and then he's still not doing anything about that because there's still more people dying out of COVID-19, including one of my best friends, by the way. But he doesn't care. And so when you see all of this now, when Trump said he want to send federal troops or federal police officers in U.S. major cities to curb the violence, and where they failed to realize that black people, I'm saying not all black people would do the violence, because there's some black people that's doing black on black violence, but not all. And majority of these violence in Chicago ain't the black people's fault, ain't our fault at all. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, what is happening. You see that Trump is trying to basically support their base. But what about white supremacists? What about their violence in Republican states, by the way? Are you going to curb that violence too? Or are you going to curb every major U.S. cities in this country that's predominantly black and predominantly Hispanic? But he doesn't think about that. All he thinks about is, get his own base. Try to please his own base, right? So he's going to blame violence on the black communities, violence on the Hispanic communities. That's what Trump is doing. And see, none of this violence ever happened if they tried to do something with the police departments across the country. And remember, your FBI, Mr. Trump, in 2006, warns that white supremacist groups going to infiltrate police departments all across the country. And the violence that happens now ain't a black people's fault or Hispanic people's fault. And yes, there are some black on black violence every now and then, but not all the time, especially in Chicago. Because like I told you in my previous videos, if gang members want to get you, they will get you. I don't care if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But violence has always happened in every holiday. And gang members, basically, they didn't have nothing to do with all of this. And they called a truce years ago between the GDs and the vice lords. And obviously, and you're talking about New York, you're talking about Chicago. It's like he said, to all Democratic states. But then you're not doing anything with white supremacist groups in all Republican states. Look what happened to Breonna Taylor, for example. You don't see no police officers ever get charged or anything. In Kentucky, forget it. I didn't want to go there. In Georgia, by the way, Ahmaud Arbery, by the way, he was killed senselessly by basically by white nationalists, basically by the McMichaels, in Georgia. And who runs that state, Mr. President? Oh, that's right, a Republican governor. So you telling me about violence in major cities, but you're not contained about the white supremacist groups creating violence in Republican states, in southern states. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am furious about this, because if he goes through with this, it'll be chaos all over again. It's going to get worse, and it's going to be more and more martial law in every major U.S. cities. So every state, you know, I'm going to put it like this, in Republican states like Georgia with Ahmaud Arbery, Kentucky with Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd in Minnesota, but that's both Democratic, Democrat states. But my point is this: is that if he's going to do this, it's going to be chaotic everywhere. And then we're going. I mean, I tell you what, it's going to be chaos everywhere. And you think black people are going to sit there and allow them to invade their turf, invade their neighborhoods with federal troops and federal police? It would be the biggest mistake in his presidency right now. So yes, I am furious. And I know a lot of black people that watch my video, y'all should be furious too. Because they gonna, and see, you notice they said, oh, Chicago or New York. And then and the code words are black cities, because that's what it is. So you damn right I'm furious. Because violence ain't the only thing that happened in black neighborhoods. It's white neighborhoods too. Are you going to curb the white on white violence in Republican states? So you see, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I'm furious about this. And if they allow, and then I know for a fact you guys will not allow this to happen. But I'm making sure right now what he's going to do is he is going to bring all the federal police, all the federal troops, and invade every U.S. cities across this country in black neighborhoods, especially black neighborhoods. So y'all let me know what you think about this. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Y'all let me know what you think about this. Like, click, subscribe, and remember to click the notification bell for all news and commentary. With that being said, this Lions is signing off. Deuces.